Hello, my name is Donald Hughes and I would like to talk to you about the Startup Business Planning Jigsaw. This is a framework that I have created in order to answer the question, as an early stage startup, should you write a business plan? Furthermore, there's a problem with startups that there's a lot of startup tools and resources, but which one should be used first and what order should then the rest of them be referred to? So the Startup Business Planning Jigsaw puts into neat order all these tools, including the business plan, and says when it should actually be written. There are 9 elements to it: the idea, the lean canvas, the promoter team assessment, customer development market validation, the MPV solution, the product. Then you have the business model validation. Learning comes out of that, which feeds into lean metrics for decision making. And then finally, the 9th component of the business planning jigsaw is your business action plan. So your business action plan comes at the end of using all of these tools and resources for startups. So starting off with the idea, there's a brilliant book called The 24 Steps to Entrepreneurship. And in the early chapters, it talks about 3 ways to start a business. I have a technological breakthrough, I have an idea, I have a passion. So there's technology, there's an idea possibly from work or from what you're involved in on a daily basis, and then also your passion and hobbies. And each of these are fine routes for coming up with ideas and then seeing if these become a business. There's some fantastic graphics and imagery in that book, just to bring across some salient points, so highly recommend it. And I suppose the key task is to refine the idea. So how do we do this? So there are idea generation workshops which you can go and attend. It helps you to source ideas or even to think about how you actually go about trying to find ideas. And I think when you have ideas, it will spark other ideas. And there's this whole concept of trying to find problems that people need to get solved. You then need to go through an idea evaluation process. I think this is actually a perfect time to read some books around startups and ideas, and then also meet other people who run their own business. And you might have the option to actually work with a startup for a particular time and see if it really fits with you. So what kind of books are we talking about? There's 3 mentioned here. Art to Start by Guy Kawasaki is a fantastic book. Then you have The Starting a Business in Ireland, and there's a workbook that comes with that from Brian O'Kane, Oak Tree Press. And then you have The Entrepreneur's Guide to Customer Development, which is a fantastic book and is a great framework for starting a business. And I suppose a key point of all 3 of those books is that it's critical that the concept that you're talking about, that customers will pay for a solution that solves a burning problem. So it's not just a nice to have, but a burning problem. People are going to go, yes, I want to buy that. I suppose the tool which really fits at this stage is what Ash Maurya refers to as the leaner canvas. There's 2 blocks within the lean canvas by Ash Maurya. So he brings together the problem and also the customer segments. So under problem, the questions you're asking really are, who are early adopters and what are the top 3 problems that they have? Then the sub-block within that is, how are they currently solving that problem? List the existing alternatives. Asking and figuring out the answers to those questions will give you insight into the market and help you with your concept and refining it. And the second part of this leaner canvas is the customer segment. Who exactly is the customer? Are there different types of customers? Who's the user? Who's the end user? Who is the actual financier? Who's paying for this? And a big part of this is, how will you identify your early adopters? And I suppose a big part of the leaner canvas is the whole idea of trigger events, and that people are prompted to look for solutions to problems when a trigger event happens. And you can use these trigger events then to do Google Ads and direct people to landing pages and to get engagement with them to see if they actually buy your product or solution. Which brings us nicely to the next step within the Startup Business Planning Jigsaw, and that's the Lean Canvas. So the Lean Canvas, anyone who's familiar with the book Running Lean by Ash Maurya, is 9 building blocks on a 1-page canvas to deconstruct your business idea. Fantastic tool, and the very first one that you would use as an early stage startup to map out your business idea, map out your assumptions across each of these 9 building blocks. So I have published an online training program which is completely free. It's on my website and it's called Complete a Lean Canvas to Your Startup Business Idea, and it goes through each one of these 9 building blocks, and you can fill them in online for your own startup business idea. And that would bring you nicely into the next key component of the Startup Business Planning Jigsaw, which is the promoter team. So it's really important to do an assessment of the promoter team in terms of domain knowledge. What's your background? Do you know about the market? Have you got the technical skills to bring a product to market? Can you bring those into your business if you don't have them yourself, or have you partners that can bring those technical skills? Have you got the functional skills in terms of have you got the functional skills in terms of sales, marketing, finance, IT, and human resources? And then ideally, then if you have some startup experience, that's fantastic as well. So I suppose the key part of this is to do a self-assessment. How are you set to bring this business to market? What are the gaps in the team? Can you bring those gaps into the team, possibly with co-founders or with partners? So those are the first three stages of the business planning jigsaw. And now we're going to be moving into this fourth step, which is customer development and market validation. So market validation is really, really important concept. And it really follows on from the whole idea of customer discovery, which is talked about in the Entrepreneur's Guide to Customer Development. So I love the idea of customer discovery, going out and discovering who your customers are going to be. And this is a key part of market validation. So market validation is essentially using primary and secondary research to figure out your market before you actually build a product and bring it to market. So secondary research is research reports on the market. This will identify information which is really critical for decision making in terms of customer trends and who your competitors are, and also the size of the market. Primary research, which I suppose is encapsulated in the whole phrase from the lean startup movement of get out of the building from Steve Blank. That's going out and talking to your customers, going out and talking to other stakeholders, people who know about this market. So the whole topic of market validation, and particularly doing primary research, can be a bit daunting. And I think there's two fantastic books here which are definitely well worth reading. And the first one is called Talking to Humans. That's a free PDF ebook, and you can download that from the internet if you search for Talking to Humans and give your email address. And then the second book then is by Rob Adams, and it's If You Build It, Will They Come? And that's a brilliant book on market validation. And it really helps you to put together a plan and approach for doing both secondary but also primary research to figure out have you got a market. So the objective of this is to establish whether you have product solution fit. Have you identified a problem, and have you the resources to bring a solution that's able to solve that problem, and have you got a fit between the two of those? That is the outcome of the first four steps, particularly in terms of the idea, the lean canvas, the team, and now this market validation, early stage market validation. And I suppose the next step from here is to bring a product to the market in terms of market testing. This is the next stage, MPV, what's your solution? So MPV stands for Minimal Viable Product, and it's defined by Steve Blank in the 4 Steps to the Epiphany as a product with the fewest number of features needed to achieve a specific objective, and users are willing to pay in some form of a scarce resource. So the key thing really here is that you are now charging for your product. That charge could be in money terms, ideally, but also could be if money isn't an option, that you'd say we're getting feedback from our customers in terms of the data. That can be more important than money at some point in time. Under the minimum viable product, I have put a prototype continuum here, which basically shows that an idea will evolve from idea stage right up to launch. There's a number of intermediary stages within there, from concept to design and specification. There might be a manual configuration. Then you're moving up to your first production run in terms of demos, alphas, and betas. And that's your minimal viable product. You're giving a minimal viable product to your customers and getting feedback from them. There are 2 fantastic books which I would highly recommend at this stage that you would read. The first one is by Heaton Shah, and that's 5 Habits to Making Better Products Faster. And the second one is Intercom's on Product Management. 2 fantastic books, both ebooks and both free, which you can go and download, and really, really important for both the product development stage and also just, I suppose, prioritizing the features that you're going to put into your minimum viable product, because it is very important that it is minimum, but it's also very important that it is viable. It does the job that the customer needs to have, it wants it to do, as in it solves the problem which you identified in your lean canvas. What we now, I suppose, have is a minimum viable product, and this really allows us to move to the next stage, which is business model validation. The business model is the original 1-page canvas, and it's by Alex Osterwalder, and it's from the book business model generation. You would use the lean canvas first, and then when you come to do the business model canvas, it's all about validation. So basically you're mapping out what your business model is, and then you're moving towards that validation stage. So are our customer segments correct? Is our understanding of our channels correct? Is our value proposition, is that, have our customers agreed with that? What customer relations do we now have? Are the revenue streams coming in on that basis? So you're validating your business model. And this is really, really important from the point of view, you have a product and now you want to get to the next stage, which is what's described as product market fit. So enough of your customers are saying, yes, you have the product and you can move to scaling this business. This, I suppose, is all based on the next key component of the jigsaw, which is learning. So learning is really, really important because we're going to make decisions in our business and we need to validate everything that we're going to do in terms of our strategy. So this really brings us to the next tool within the Lean Startup, which is the build, measure, learn feedback loop. So you have ideas. From those ideas, you will build a product. From the product, you will measure what you get from that is data. And then you, again, continue the learning, and it's an iterative cycle. The key point of the build, measure, learn feedback loop is that the faster your organization iterates through the cycle, the more quickly you will find the right product and market. So as the second key item of this build, measure, learn feedback loop is that the cycle applies to everything you do, from establishing a vision to building product features to developing channels and marketing strategies. So not only does it apply to new product development, it applies to marketing and actually defining your business model. So it's not just your product development, it's also marketing and actually how you acquire customers and all of this as well. One of the things that you will be learning about is your pricing, and on that basis, I would highly recommend Don't Just Roll the Dice by Neil Davison. Again, free ebook, put in your email address, they'll send you on the PDF. Fantastic book. Every kind of a question you have around pricing will be in that. So just making the point that pricing is one of the key things that you will be testing and refining and learning about. When you've all that done, you'll be well placed to move to the next block and start using the next level of resources, which is around lean metrics. So within lean metrics, I'm talking about two things. Firstly, you have the standard, I suppose, business tool, which is financial projections, and that's really, really important. Those will end up in your business plan later on. And I suppose the second one, which Lean Startup really brought us, is this whole idea of lean analytics. And I think this is really, really critical for, we want to get to a point where we're saying we've got product market fit. How do we know we've got that? So enough of our customers are saying, yes, you've got a brilliant product. You can now scale this business. Once you've got it, it's actually easy enough to recognize. But when you haven't got it, how do you know you're actually making progress towards that goal? Lean analytics is the answer to that question. How do I know that I'm actually going in the right direction, that I'm actually making sufficient progress so that I will eventually get to product market fit? Am I making sufficient progress? And Lean analytics answers that question. So in Scaling Lean, which is Ash Murray's follow-up book to Running Lean, he uses the idea of a customer factory to discuss key metrics. So what is the customer factory? It's making happy customers gets you paid. Doing this repeatedly is the goal of every business. And he identifies 7 key metrics. 5 of them are the traction metrics of acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, and referral, as per the model here. And then the last one is growth. So traction is basically good things that happen in your business, milestones that you reach, and these are things that you can measure. Lean analytics is absolutely critically important to this whole question of, are you making progress in your business? Are you heading for product market fit? There's a book called Lean Analytics, which is absolutely brilliant. So it's called Lean Analytics, Use Data to Build a Better Startup Faster. Highly recommended at this stage of your business. So again, I think there's a free ebook which is available for download, which is a subset of that book, and it is the case studies that they refer to in the Lean Analytics book, and it's analytics lessons learned. We've now dealt with the first 8 elements of the Startup Business Planning Jigsaw, and it's all heading towards the final step, which is the business action plan. My key point is that you can write a business plan or an investor business plan, or what I refer to as a business action plan, when you have an established startup. So when your startup has achieved product market fit, it has strong reference customers, it has defined its route to market, you have an excellent team, you have a financial model clarified as a sustainable business model, it's of interest to investors, and you have a roadmap for scaling. That's when you can actually create a business plan document. That's firstly a business plan pitch, and secondly an investorly business plan as well. So it's by going through each of the tools which Lean Startup has now provided to us in the sequence of this business planning jigsaw that you will get to your established startup phase, and then that's the ideal time to write a business plan, which will probably be required for investors. It might just be a business plan pitch, but you have all of the background work done on it, including your financial projections. This is the business planning jigsaw. The idea, the lean canvas, promoter team assessment, then into customer discovery, customer development, market validation. This allows us to bring a minimal viable product into the market. Then we're looking at, we have enough data that we can actually validate our business model. This really helps us to focus on learning within the business, which you will need for decision making, and allows us to agree some lean metrics that you will regularly monitor so that you can actually decide and know if your business is going in the right direction. That allows you to bring a business action plan together, which you can then give to investors and raise funding and then scale your business. Now, each of these might seem like individual steps, but the learning as you go all along the way all end up in your business action plan. That is the Startup Business Planning Jigsaw. It has these 9 steps. It basically says that you start with the leaner canvas, move to the lean canvas, then you do an assessment of your promoter or team, then you go to customer development, market validation, then you're really looking to see, how do I bring a minimum viable product to the market? How do I start charging for that? How do I then validate my business model? What am I learning from this in terms of the market, the product, the customers, the strategy? What lean metrics should I be focusing on in terms of what should I be measuring for results and decisions? And then how do I take all of that information and encapsulate it into a business action plan? I think that the Startup Business Planning Jigsaw puts into neat order the startup tools that you should use and when you should use them. Thank you very much.